Hey everyone, welcome to Soulfish. I'm David and I am super glad you're here. You know, this video today is going to be July's energy reading. That's the year of 2019 right now. This is for right now. And I chose to do this a little later into the month than at the beginning because I wanted to get through the beginning of the month. I wanted you to feel kind of where we're at in this process. You know, about 9 months previously we had ended book 1, is what I'm calling it, a real book, whatever book that was for you. If you're 185, it might be your 4th book, but for the rest of us, maybe book 1, right? And it was a real closure, like it was a definitive line, right? And then you had the last 3 months of last year and kind of the 6 months into this year of really this transition time, working through stuff. It was about really letting go of all of that. And so the first quarter was kind of like, of this 9-month experience here, this kind of transitional time, it was really geared at you catching a breath. It was geared at our ability to recognize that something had stopped, and it was like waiting for the momentum to stop, and it's like the wheel had to stop rolling on its own accord. You know, the engine had cut off and it was just doing that. That was like the last 3 months. And then this whole year, from 2019 to this point, so January to now, it's really been about trying the new ways. You found that if you were doing something like you used to, it wouldn't work. It created a lot of contentiousness. It made you feel terrible inside, particularly if you reacted to something or someone in your older ways, more aggressive ways maybe, more angry ways maybe, something like that. It was very much about that. So it was very much a clearing of a lot of this energy. And so for July, what we found is it's like you've cleaned out the closet some more, and finally you can see the back of the closet, and that's what July is really. It's breaking free from these really past deep hurts and recognizing that the mantra you used to say to yourself of, you know, this isn't going to work, you know, I'm not good enough, or, you know, when can it be different? When's it going to get good for me? Those kind of feelings, those kind of statements, those thoughts, you know, in terms of where you feel lack or what have you, all of that is kind of being ejected right now. You're feeling it. I know you're feeling it. We all are. It's a lot of this kind of deep purging stuff. And so that's like early life things. That could be past life things that are taking, you know, have taken its toll and also outlived its usefulness. So that's what this is happening right now. Some physical manifestations that people are having, or a lot of stomach issues, upset stomach, right? And all of the associated things with that. That's a big one. So think about that. That's a real purging of, you know, some toxins or whatever, right? Throat issues, lung issues, communication, healing, love, these kind of places. This is all, again, being kind of purged out. And so you're going to see a lot of that this month if you haven't already. And, you know, ultimately we say to ourselves, well, what's the point? What's the point of trying to understand? What's the point of when we're feeling all of this stuff, right? When you're witnessing, and even if you're not, as let's say, hypersensitive to the feeling energy of whatever, you're witnessing how things are really shifting. You're witnessing a big sorting going on right now, and you see it in terms of what people are really focused on. And it's not so much, you know, and I don't want to oversimplify and just say 50-50, you know, it's either you're light or dark. It's not so much like, it's like all these subgroups, right, that all have their temperatures. Ultimately, some are on this side and some are on this side. I mean, there is an ultimate temperature gauge where you do cross a line onto either side. But in the bigger context, you're seeing these kind of groups emerge, these little colonies emerge, and you're going to see a sorting taking place. And you already have been, but particularly in your personal life where, you know, friends, family, job, things that were static, things that were kind of okay, or tolerable, or you would accept it as this is it, or whatever, whatever. Those things are crumbling down. Those things are being removed so that you can open up to this whole new story that's happening right now. Right now, July 2019, it's happening right now. And that's the purpose for this video and this reading, is not just to say, hey, here's what's going on, here's how we're all feeling about it, or here's, it's how you apply it. Like, what is the lesson? My daughter talks about being a particular zodiac sign and certain characteristics as if, like, that label, is that characteristic. And it's interesting when we speak with her to say, hey man, that's the energy that's called out. And if you've already resolved that in yourself, that energy won't be called out in you. You ascend it. You have solved that problem for yourself. For somebody else, not so. That becomes a trigger point. But for you, that's not the case, And so this preparation we're in right now is for the story that's starting right now. This experience, and it's been pretty, right? Like kind of like high, low, pretty aggressive in this kind of like, you've tried something, you say, oh wow, that's really neat, something new, something different, right? A different approach, whatever. Wow, this is really great. So you kind of have this high, and then then over this last time, it's been kind of, you do something that might have been the old way and it brings you really low, or something happens that was just like, what you remember it to be, or what you thought you had already gotten over, right? And you come getting flattened again. That is this kind of breath, that is this kind of thing of getting this out of you, kind of like pumping it out of you, right? But ultimately, what you have to do is recognizing what's coming at you is one thing, but how do you apply it? And the way to apply this is to be really clear on your intentions. I'm a planner, and so for me, I'm an empath psychic. I gotta build my own structure so that I can function in terms of what's around, right? And many of us are like that, particularly if you're an energy sensitive or whatever. You've got to build your own structure in a way so that you can kind of cope, relate to, identify with, whatever, with the rest of the world, because it is very different. But the key to all of this, even as a planner, is I've learned that plans are very third dimensional. Plans are very much about me hoping that this comes into line and this comes into line, and if these two things happen, then I'm able to progress in this direction, right? And I've already laid out the direction. I'm just waiting for, like, the Plinko chips to fall in there so I can move forward, right? But the problem with that is that becomes very specific on a direct path, when for me, I've learned that the path is less probably, I'm interested in the destination, right? I want the result, I want the destination. And I've learned that if I try to craft a path to get to that destination, it rarely works out as good for me as if I am very clear on how I want to be. And if I'm focused on that, then I find that everything I need and want really are delivered to me in that place, in that spirit of, in that feeling of, right? So for example, a lot of people say, well, I'm going to forgive Fred for whatever, right? Fred, sorry, whatever, right? When the reality is that's an outside projection. That's the reality is if you just said, hey man, if I treat everyone with love and understanding, I'm not focused on Fred at all. If I treat everyone with love and understanding, me, and I try to be a little less of an asshole today than I was yesterday, then what would happen then? I would be recognizing opportunities as they come, people, opportunities, situations that fit into that vibe, fit into that feeling, fit into that bigger intention, then I would be automatically saying, you don't fit because I had this stringent plan in my mind, and if these things don't fit, even though they could have taken me to the exact same destination and probably quicker, because I'm so specific that I'm waiting for certain things to line up so I can run my track that I've mentalized to go do, that's the problem. And so in this time for July, what I want to encourage you to do, encourage you to be, is focused on your intentions, not your plans. Focused on the feeling of, focused on how you want to be, your beingness, in the midst of everything that's coming at you. Because that's this lesson right now for this month. That's why the purging. You know, you can't learn more stuff if your cup is full, right? So this is all in an attempt, universe working with you, to you, for you, in an attempt to help you purge this stuff out so that you have room, you're open enough to be your next greater version. And isn't that magical? Isn't that amazing? I mean, think about it. Our souls must be something to have so much conspire to help us. It's an amazing, amazing time. Please take advantage of it. And until next time, much love.